I'm Brian Branton. I recently purchased Cedar Grove, a beautiful historic home in South Carolina that was built in the late 1700s. I'm inviting Homeworthy to come along with me over the next few months, maybe years, I hope not years, as I restore parts of this home to its original glory that hasn't been touched in years. She needs a lot of work to make her shine again, but it will be so much fun. I hope you will join me as I document this amazing journey.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hey Homeworthy, I'm Brian Branton. Welcome back to Cedar Grove. Last time you guys were here, I had just bought this place and I told you all about my plans for renovation. Well, guess what? The work has started. It's been a busy summer. I can't wait to show it to you. All right, so if you don't remember, let me kind of refresh what this place looked like when I first got it. I didn't put it on there, but the house had cheap vinyl siding all over it. And that's one of the first things I did was remove it. So I'm super excited that house now, it's original siding on there. And then we had to remill some siding. And luckily there's a local sawmill here that we were able to kind of get the right knife to cut it to match exactly the clapboard that was put on here in 1790. So I'm going to show you where we kind of repatched that siding and put it on. It's really kind of a seamless look. It looks great. But the other big change is I have a portico again. Now, it's not the prettiest right now, but as you can see, it's completely straight. You know, last time you were here, it was a little bit of a Leaning Tower of Pisa situation going on. We had to completely remove that portico and build it back. All the original elements that were on that portico, they're sitting in my garage right now. So they're stored, they're just waiting to be put back on for the finishing details. But the bones of it, we salvaged what we could from the beams. There was a lot of rotten wood in there, so we had to kind of discard that and rebuild. So you're seeing kind of the structural side of it, but not like the finished part. The columns haven't gone back in. We just started putting in the ceiling, as you see on the first and the second floor of it. There's still not a floor on the second floor, which is why they plywooded up my door so I can't walk out and fall through it. But that's been the biggest change. And then the other part, you can see they've removed my roof. And they just did this on Thursday. I was kind of hoping I would have a new roof put on Friday, but they didn't show up on Friday. So I think they're going to continue it on, have a new roof to show you when you guys come back. But come on, let me show you everything. One of the fun things about any kind of old house restoration is once you open stuff up, you uncover new stuff. And so one of the things that we found out when you come over here is there was rotten wood, rotten beams in that we've had to shore up and replace. There were rotten beams in a number of sections. For the most part, the house was super structurally sound, and it was really cool to see the framework of it. But there were places where the beams had just been rotten, and mostly it was from water damage. It wasn't termites, which is good. The other big change, I don't know if you remember this, but I had a giant tree that was right here. It was a willow oak, and that tree was easily 150, 200 years old. It towered above everything, but as you can see, it was really close to the house. That tree just had to come down, and just look at how big it was. This is where it stood. I wasn't planning on taking this tree down, but I had just been working in the yard, and a giant limb fell out of the tree and fell right through this spot right here. Now, luckily, it fell in a perfect spot where it didn't damage anything. It didn't damage the shrub. It didn't damage the house. It didn't damage the tree. But the arborist that came by said that this tree he had been monitoring for the past few years and had been dropping big limbs like that. And so it started to rotten, and it was time to take it down. So one huge, expensive, unexpected expense later, and I'm one tree less. But the good news is I have these two magnolias flanking the front, so you don't even really notice the tree's gone. And the great thing about it is it actually gets way more light in here, which I hope will be good for the boxwood as I replant it. Okay, let me show you the north side of the house. Okay, so here we are over on the north side of the house. I wanted to show you this part because this is the part where it received and you know, being on the north side, it didn't have that much sun exposure, and so a lot of the clapboard we got to save, and you see the original clapboard up here. The detailing I love about this is all this face nailing that has been done all the way up. I just think it's really cool. You can see where we had to patch right here. And the great thing, oh, if you come closer, I'll show you this. So here's the original clapboard, and you can see it had this really great beveled trim added to it. This is where I said we had to have a knife specifically cut at this local sawmill to recreate this. And here it is in its new version. So it's really a perfect match. And once that's painted, you will not notice it at all. So I'm super thrilled with the way that works. Now, this is also one of the surprise areas because this part right here, the reason we had to patch this up is there was plywood that covered all the way up to here. And once we opened up that plywood, we had noticed that they had rebuilt the foundation, but along here, there was a rotten beam that we had to replace. So we had to shore this up. That's why my step has not been completed, but it's a fun little surprises. I wasn't too disappointed with it because the way I look at it is I'm trying to make this house last for another 230 years. And so if now's the time when you're opening up walls to actually make changes. So I would rather spend on pretty things, but you know, it's going to be pretty really soon. One of the other things I wanted to show you, I don't know if you remember this, but when you guys were here last time, I told you about in the 30s, some of the original boxwood from Cedar Grove was sold to Colonial Williamsburg, and you can still go see it at the Governor's Palace. So all of this boxwood back here has been replaced. But there are some original pieces of boxwood that I didn't even really realize because this right here was covered in just different vines. Yeah, it was so many vines you couldn't even tell what it was. And this summer I've been pulling it out and getting it back, and it is a ginormous boxwood. I mean, how tall is that? I don't know, 20 feet. I'm really bad about measurements, so this could be an exaggeration in life. But to me, this is a 20-foot boxwood, and I'll go stand by it because I'm 5'9". It's so huge. I just love it. So that's some of the original boxwood that still remains at Cedar Grove. All right, let me go show you the back of the house because that's had a lot of work too. One of the big things about this project is, again, I've been getting surprise after surprise. And one of the biggest surprises is we were starting to prepare the porch to have the roof go on it. And they called me and said, guess what? You need a whole new back porch. So this whole back porch had to be completely rebuilt. But, which you would think that would drive you crazy because that's just a huge added expense. But the thing that I love about this is we got to improve this porch so much, and I can't wait to show you what is going on in there. This is the one place where the siding has not gone back on. That's the last little bit that they have to do. But I'm just really happy with the way this looks out. Let me show it to you. So the biggest part of this porch, the improvements that we made, is I don't know if you can tell right here, but there used to be like this weird, I thought it was a beam. I thought it was a structural beam, but it came up. You can see how they cut into the shutter and went over the top of this and up there. And they did that on the opposite side, like these two beams. Well, once we kind of took the porch apart, we realized, oh, those weren't beams. Those were almost like soffits that they built to just kind of hide work that had not been done on the porch when they had made an earlier repair. So we were able to take those out, and that gave us so much more space. I mean, you can see how much it went up. And then we kind of increased the pitch of the roof to make it better for the shingles that we put on. And you can tell where it was raised here. So you see a little bit more of detailing of the fan light. And then the other part of it is the ceiling of this porch was not good wood. It was really kind of like stamped plywood. So now we're actually putting on the pretty, what's supposed to be their porch ceiling. So for an unnecessary expense, it's actually a saving grace. I'm glad we got to make these changes after all, because I wasn't planning on doing that. Okay, so welcome to the south side of the house. By the way, they leave this lift here when they're not working on the house, and I literally tried to get into it because I was going to use it for something, but they take away the key. They hide it from me because I guess they know I will get into trouble if I try to operate this thing. But the south side, I wanted to show you this because we had to completely re-side this house. This was the siding that had the most damage, and it's been completely done now. The only thing we've got to do is work on the window seals because those were rotted out. But as you can see, it is a very clean, sharp look. I'm super happy with the way it's turned out. If you look over here, we had to take my staircase completely apart, again, because they had to take it off to see if we had a rotten beam on this side. Fortunately, we did not, but it means I have to rebuild the whole staircase to do that. But I'm really happy. You can, when I drive in, you can see this side from the driveway. I get a sense of what the house is going to be like once it's painted and everything. This is just the primer, but I think it's going to look amazing. All right, so let me show you the pool house, because in addition to the main house, I'm doing work on all the buildings too, some of which I've already started work, other ones like the kitchen house has not started yet. But the pool house, I have just gotten the roof put on it, and I'm so excited to show you because that's going to be exactly the same roof that's going on the main part of the house. So the main part of the house will have this composite cedar shake there on the porch. The library wing and the other kitchen wing will both remain metal. But here it is. I think it looks really pretty. Now, I wanted to do real cedar, but was concerned about doing that given the weather here in South Carolina and was kind of advised against it. I was kind of pointed in the direction of this company that makes composite cedar shake, and they make it exactly, they make molds from real cedar shake, so it looks like a cedar shake. The only difference is it lasts way longer than real cedar. This will last 50 to 70 years, and you don't have the upfront maintenance. It's way more expensive at the upfront cost, but you don't have quite the same maintenance before. So I'm really happy with it because I think it's very realistic looking. And I would hope if I had not told you it was composite cedar, you would not have realized that's composite cedar. Other thing that, I don't know if you remember this, but the pool house had an arbor, and that arbor on the back kind of drove me crazy because it didn't extend the full length and I wanted to change it. So I'm in the process of changing that now. You're going to see I have a huge porch that has been added. Now, it's not a finished state, but you really get a sense of what it's going to be like. So it's creating a whole new living environment on the pool. The columns haven't gone in. Of course, they will go right here, and there'll be 4 columns to it. But, and we started putting the ceiling in. This will be the same ceiling that goes on the back porch of the main house. But I'm just really happy with the way it turned out. The other detailing, I think I told you guys this, there's going to be a railing on top of this porch, and that railing is going to mask kind of the transom light, the fan light above the side doors. It's going to create that pattern. So I'm really excited to see that. Also, last time you guys were here, my pool was still cloudy. You couldn't see to the bottom of it. Look, you can see to the bottom of it now. You can see a pecan or something that has fallen in the pool. So it's been great having a pool. And I'm wearing a bathing suit now. I've worn a bathing suit every day this summer because I will work and then jump in the pool. One other aspect about the pool house is, I don't know if you remember, but there were huge plants, huge shrubs right here and in that corner. So we had to take those up. I asked them to replant them, and they did, and they're actually doing pretty well. But we had to do that to create brick steps that go kind of almost to the whole length of it. It works around the corner here. And these bricks are the bricks from the original foundation of the house. You know, there were piles of the bricks behind the outbuildings and then the boxwood lay behind the kitchen house. So it was good to be able to kind of reuse this brick to kind of build these steps. And I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Okay, let me show you the inside of the pool house. Last time you were here, I didn't show you the inside of the pool house because it was a mess, but I've now gotten a decent enough shape I'm willing to show it to you, so come on in. So the previous owners had used this pool house as like a living room. I wanted to create like a guest bedroom because I think it's always nice to have another guest space, and particularly one that's kind of removed from everybody if you have some guests that want to be farther away. This one has a kitchenette, which is nice, a full bath with a washer and dryer. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this kitchenette. It's not the details I would want, but it's coming together well. And it's got this ugly refrigerator. So eventually I want to replace this refrigerator. And I think I actually want to go down to a smaller size one because I don't need a full size refrigerator. But I've had the whole house filled up with guests. So guests have stayed out here, and I've actually stayed out here before myself. It's a really nice place to stay. It is, since it's a smaller room, it stays way cooler than the rest of the house. So on the hottest days, this is a nice reprieve to come sleep out in the pool house. And you can turn the pool lights on and watch the pool. And although when you turn the pool lights on, it attracts every bug within a 20-mile radius, and spiders get in that pool. It just drives me insane. But you can watch them go in the pool. It's kind of creepy. All right, and now that I've shown you all of the outside and inside in the pool house, let's take you into the main part of the house. It's also had a lot of changes since you guys were there, meaning I finally have gotten everything, well, not everything unpacked, but I've gotten most of it unpacked. So come on in. Okay, welcome inside. Now, hopefully this will look way different for you because there aren't boxes everywhere. Again, this is the big center hallway. I think, gosh, I can't quite remember. I had already started hanging stuff on the walls, so this might seem similar, but it's definitely more finished. I got all my china out and the break front, but the room I really want to show you because it's the biggest transformational space is the dining room. When you guys were in here last, it was piled high full of boxes. So let me show you what it looks like now. Just remember, this is not a finished space. I have not lifted a paintbrush on one thing. Everything you see here is the paint that came with this house. The window treatments are the window treatments that came with this house. So it's definitely a step in the renovation process, but it looks way better than before. So come on in. Okay, so here's the dining room. The change number one, you don't see a single box. Change number two, I finally found the dining room table. The dining room table that I had here before was my old dining room table. It was too small. I've broken that apart, and you see the end pieces. Well, I didn't literally break it apart, it comes apart, but the end pieces now flank the windows there, and I found a 3 pedestals table that can seat 12 comfortably. So I'm really happy with it. Everything's hanging up on the walls. You know, I want to paint this room, so I envision it being a green at some point, but I have not started the paint. But the great thing about once you start hanging stuff and really start putting stuff away, you can start seeing the things you didn't notice before. And this house will kind of unfold its secrets, and one of those secrets are the original paint colors. I think I had told you guys that this house has barely been painted over the 230 years it's been around. But right here where the mantle is coming apart, and I doubt you can get the shot, you can see one of the original paint colors behind this. It's like a blue. So maybe I should go with the blue, but my mind is telling me, my heart is telling me green. So Don't come after me, preservationists. This house was originally built by Prussian immigrants. It was the Blocker family. John Blocker is the original owner, the guy who built the house. And this piece, which I already had, is from Prussia. It's a Prussian garden ornament. So it's kind of meant to be that I have this Prussian garden ornament that's in the home of a Prussian immigrant. You all may remember this mirror from my old house. It also hung in the dining room there. But this mirror dominated that dining room. It took up the whole wall. Like that eagle was pretty much touching the ceiling. And I just wanted to point this out because it just kind of goes and gives you the sense of the scale of this room. It's very large. This mirror looks small here compared to the other place. This mirror, by the way, it was President Taft's. It hung in his summer White House in Beverly, Massachusetts. So I'm thrilled to have it. It kind of goes with my eagle theme I have going on. So I have an eagle theme, a terracotta theme in here, and of course the portraiture. So that's the dining room. All right, so you can't have an old house without having ghost stories. I had told you guys that this house was reputedly haunted, and it involved a story of someone getting shot in the back bedroom here. Well, I've had 2 ghostly incidences, and then I've heard the whole story now, which was kind of freaky once I heard the whole story. So the very first thing that happened is this sconce, and I mean, just kind of show, this sconce had been knocked off the wall and was hanging here when I came one time. Now you would think, and I hear you, that there's constructions, things could fall off the wall. But the thing about this sconce, to get it off the wall, you have to raise it to get it off. It doesn't just fall, it has to be raised and to fall over. So it freaked me out a little bit. And then the second thing that happened is the very first time I ever spent the night here by myself, because normally I'm not here by myself. I went up to the bedroom, I was lying in my bed, and I heard this knocking. And it was a very distinct knocking. It was like this. And I thought, what the heck is that? I immediately got on the phone and called Luke, my other half, and was like, I hear knocking. This is freaking me out. I'm here by myself. And this knocking went on for a while. Somehow I managed to make it to sleep. Well, cut to like 2 days later, and we have been collecting old magazines and books that this house has been in. And we found an old magazine that talked about the ghost story. And in that story, it says that it was an indentured servant from Ireland, because the second family that bought this house in 1825 were from Ireland. They brought with them an indentured servant. And that's the girl that got shot in the closet of that bedroom. Apparently, she likes to knock to let people know she's here. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I actually have heard this ghost. Now, since that has happened, I have heard nada. And I'm thinking maybe she likes the renovation that's going on. But I've also heard, and this is so appropriate for me, that she comes out at Christmas, that she loves Christmas time, and she's more active at Christmas with the knocking. So you'll have to come back at Christmas, and we'll have to see what's going on then. Okay, so the other room that's had the most change is the kitchen. Now, this isn't finished by any stretch of the imagination, but it's finally painted, sorta. And that's because I actually paid somebody to paint this kitchen, and they did like a first coat on it, and then they disappeared on me. So I've never seen them since. So I've actually got to go, and they were supposed to paint the cabinets. They didn't paint the cabinets, but so I've got to go back and actually do this. But you get a sense of what it's going to look like. If you remember, this was yellow. This ceiling had been wood, and we painted it. It had an ugly wood stove in it, and so I found this mantel that really fits the house. It hasn't been made into a fireplace yet, but the wood stove is gone. That will get done at a later time. I put my pot rack in, but I'm really happy with it. It's way more of the kitchen than I was envisioning. The other thing is I don't like these pendants, and these were hanging here. I replaced 2 of them right here, And I have like a push tin chandelier that I am going to hang over the table. So I have to have the electrician come and move this over and hang it. But my kitchen is very much looking more like a kitchen, which I'm excited about. Okay, so last time I showed you guys the library, it was just also piled high of boxes. This room isn't completely unpacked because I still need to find another bookshelf to accommodate all my books, but it's way more put together, and I've got it set up as an office if I ever work from home here. You know, on certain days I have to go into the office all the time. But I've got my books up, I've got my chairs out. It's a really cozy room, and I can't wait for winter so I can have a fire going in here and really enjoying this space. It incorporates some of the stuff that fits way more better here. This was my dad's saddle. You may remember me talking about this. It used to be in the bedroom of my old house, but I really love how it fits here. There you see all the boxes I still haven't unpacked. So that's showing you the full picture. So inside I was telling you about how I've been collecting some of the magazines and books that this house has been in. One of the ones that's my favorite is from this March 1929 magazine of The Mentor, and it shows Cedar Grove here. It's some of the best pictures of the house because you can really see, you know, what the hallway was like before. You can see how the paint was. The door was not painted, it was dark. At the last episode, I told you about that piece of Dave pottery that used to hang in the hallway, and here it is. And you can see just how huge it is. You can see the wallpaper room, and the chandelier that hung in the wallpaper room is this chandelier that's now here in this room. So I love that aspect of it. So it's fun to kind of read these stories and see how the previous owners had the house. All right, last time you guys were here, you may remember that this bed was not put together. It was in pieces on the floor, and that's because I said I couldn't find the bolts to it. I'm embarrassed to admit that I lived that way for like a week, maybe even 2 weeks, until I realized, or I should say remembered, that this bed did not have bolts. It kind of slots into place. So once I remembered that aspect of it, I felt really stupid, and the bed was put together really quickly. But it completed the bedroom, and then I laid out everything else. I got the artwork hung up. So it's not the way that this bedroom's going to be finished. Again, I want to paint this room. Every room in this house is pretty much this blue color and white walls, and so I want to change that. I haven't decided yet what color. I was going to have this room also be green. I'm going through a green phase, but I think I've changed it. I've liked the lightness of the white wall, so I might keep a creamier wall and then a green trim. And then I'll change the window treatments and get a rug for the floor. These floors I need to remove the polyurethane off these floors. They shouldn't be on there. So at some point I've got to do that too. All right, thanks for coming, Homeworthy. As you can see, there's been a lot of work that's been going on. I still have a lot more to do, so you have to come back. We're gonna finish, once the siding is all finished, it's gonna be painted. Of course, the portico is going to be finished up and hopefully will be looking way prettier the next time you're here. The new roof will be on, and then I've had shutters that are being made, and they will be coming here and being placed, and so that's going to be that finishing look that I've been dying to see. And then, of course, when that's all done, then the fun work begins inside. So you guys will have to come back, and I look forward to having you here. See you, Homeworthy.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.